Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are San Diego.
Last night, Jacob deGrom and his league-leading ERA on the hill, and the Padres got a little help. And they also got to him as the Padres beat the Mets 3-2 in the first game of this three-game series. Manuel Margot back in the starting lineup, a big triple, and that's about all that the Padres would need as they took on the New York Mets with great success last night here at Citi Field. Welcome back with Mark Sweeney. I'm Jesse Agler. There were a lot of keys to victory last night, Mark. Maybe one at the very top of the list, though, aside from the great starting pitching by Joey Lucchesi, was the fact that the new-look bullpen, without Brad Hand, got the job done with a one-run lead.
Yeah, after Joey Lucchesi pitched 5+ innings, and I thought he was fabulous. You have to lock down that win. It was a tight game. Craig Stammen coming in, high-leverage situation. That is commonplace for Craig Stammen. Phil Maton is one of those guys that's going to get more opportunities, especially after he pitched last night so well and handing it over to Kirby Yates, who is going to get the majority chances of these saves and locking it down last night for a big win for Joey Lucchesi. But the revamped bullpen looked very good last night.
And again, it was Lucchesi last night. Tonight, Eric Lauer, the other rookie left-hander, will toe the slab against the Mets in this ballgame. His last two starts before the All-Star break, totally different. Very interesting.
Yeah, you think about the Los Angeles Dodgers start, a near complete game shutout, which Eric Lauer was locked in. Right from the get-go, he had command of his fastball, and you know what we saw was variables of that fastball. The velocity changed, he changed locations, he knew what he was trying to do, but velocity helped on that particular night. He dominated a very good Dodger lineup.
So that was the good. Then there came the bad against the Cubs. He lasted only 2 innings, but there's more to the story, I think, than just that pitching line.
Probably wasn't going to go longer than maybe 2-3 innings that day because a lot of people had to pitch, but didn't look like the command was there. The velocity didn't change. He sat right around 90 miles an hour. Eric Lauer has to change velocity, also change eye levels for him to be successful. Be a very good start for him tonight behind Joey Lucchesi's effort last night.
All right, we'll keep an eye on the radar gun with Eric Lauer out on the hill this evening, and when we come back, we will hear from Austin Hedges and bullpen coach Doug Bachler talking about Kirby Yates' new role with the Padres. Hang loose with the kid from Kauai.
Night, Kirby Yates assumes the role of the closer.
Got him.
Kirby Yates has great confidence in that split finger fastball of his.
Got him. Kirby Yates strikes out Cabrera.
Kirby Yates getting his first opportunity in his new role as the Padres closer, and he performed brilliantly last night, slamming the door to preserve a 3-2 Padres victory in the opener. With the departure of Brad Hand, is Kirby the right guy at the right time to take over that closer's role? Well, here's what his bullpen coach, Doug Bockler, thinks about it.
Kirby's a perfect guy to step into that role. I mean, he's been pitching in meaningful situations. If it's the 8th inning or the 9th inning, I don't think it really bothers him. He's a guy that goes out there every single inning prepared to face the batters that he's about to face and knows beforehand what pitches it's going to take from him to execute to get those guys out. It's a matter of going out and executing.
He wants that big moment. He wants to come in and when guys are in scoring position or to get those last 3 outs. It was the hardest 3 outs of the game. And I mean, obviously he's kind of new to it now, but he's pitching enough big situations for us where he's the guy that we want to have the ball in that situation.
We always talked about Brad Hand, how cool he was under pressure. Kirby Yates cut from the exact same cloth. Since joining the Padres last year, 101 games, a 2.77 earned run average. He's been dependable. Well, the Padres will look for some 6 in the city tonight. That's right, Manny Margot looking to extend his hitting game to 6 games. Eric Lauer going up against Zach Wheeler. Padres, Mets, coming up next right here on Fox Sports San Diego.
All brought to you by Petco, the pet company. By Cadillac. Visit your San Diego Cadillac dealers today. By Jack in the Box. Come try Jack's new triple cut premium burgers with a custom blend of sirloin, chuck, and brisket only at Jack in the Box. And by SeaWorld. Penguin is tonight's word of the game. Head to foxsportssandiego.com and click Ways to Win for your chance to win a SeaWorld Family 4-pack. All right, fans, who are you joining forces with in Saquon Pick This Stick? Weigh in on Twitter for a chance to win a free lunch buffet for 2 at Saquon Casino. Just hashtag I'm with and the last name of the broadcaster you want to join up with. If they win, you could win 2. One random winner selected nightly. You must be 18 or older to win. Follow us at Fox Sports SD for more details. Zach Wheeler, 28-year-old right-hander from outside of Atlanta, Georgia, delivers a 97-mile-per-hour fastball. That's a strike to Manuel Margot. And we're underway on a sticky Tuesday evening in Flushing, Queens. Padres saw lots of velocity last night with Jacob deGrom and Mark Sweeney. They're going to see a little bit more tonight, aren't they?
Yeah, and you know Zach Wheeler's going to bring the velocity. Also has a good curveball to go along with it. Mid to upper 90s fastballs we've already seen.
Off speed for the first time, and Margot hits it in the air to fairly deep left center field. On the run, Nimmo will get there and make the catch. One away in the top of the first inning. Here's the Padres lineup, brought to you by your San Diego County Toyota dealers. You just saw Manuel Margot put a charge into that one. Asuaje coming up now. Myers, Hosmer, Renfroe, Galvis, Villanueva, Hedges, and Lauer. Mostly the same cast of characters from yesterday. Travis Jankowski started in last night's ball game. Renfroe tonight in right field. Asuaje was in the box, now out. Carlos making a second consecutive start in this series, and Wheeler misses. One of the things we have seen with the way Asuaje has swung the bat since coming back from AAA, it has really lengthened the Padre lineup a little bit.
Yeah, and especially at the top of the order. That's going to be important tonight. Carlos is going to have to get on that pull side, which he's done a much better job at that since the AAA.
The 1-1 pitch is hit in the air to the opposite field. Evans, the third baseman, was shallow, but that'll be Conforto in left, making the play, and that's quickly 2 out in the top of the first inning. Here's the Met defense, brought to you by your San Diego Cadillac dealers.
From left to right, Conforto, Nimmo, and Bautista in right field. Evans at third base, Rosario, Cabrera, and Flores around the infield. Mesoraco does the catching again tonight for Zach Wheeler. Evans making his first career start at third base.
He is a second baseman by trade. I got as Drupal Cabrera over there, and Cabrera could be traded. That'll open up an opportunity, or at least more of one for Evans.
Well, San Diego guy from Evans, and played for Justin Machado, Acosta Canyon High School.
A couple of San Diego guys on this Met team, including tomorrow night's starting pitcher.
What a program that is at LCC, La Costa Canyon in North County.
What was that? Myers with a couple of hits last night.
Well, for Zach Wheeler, if we take a look at the scouting report, we touched on it. Upper 90s with the fastball, and it's going to be very aggressive with the fastball. And is he the trade chip in the starting rotation? A lot of people have talked about Noah Syndergaard, also Jacob deGrom, who pitched last night. A lot of people say Zach Wheeler is going to be the first to go.
Probably more affordable for a contending team in terms of what they'd have to give up than a deGrom or a Syndergaard. Not a bad option at all. And he works a 1-2-3 top half of the first inning against the Padres. The weather report brought to you by your always sunny Honda dealers of San Diego County. About the same as last night. Warm, humid and breezy. Saw the wind impact some balls in the air in last night's game. We'll see about tonight. Here's the Mets lineup, brought to you by your San Diego County Ford dealers. Ahmed Rosario leading off for the second consecutive game, with Cabrera and Flores to follow here in the first inning. Middle third, Bautista, Conforto, Mesoraco, Nimmo, Evans, the San Diego guy, and the pitcher Zach Wheeler will bat ninth. 17th start of the season for the rookie Eric Lauer. First time taking on the New York Mets. First time pitching in this ballpark. And first pitch just a little bit low, 1-0. Swing and a miss, 1-1. Scouting report brought to you by GMC.
Well, for Eric Lauer, it has a lot to do with the competition he has with his fellow left-hander. And as we touched on the velocity in that Los Angeles Dodgers start, it really has to do with his spinning of the curveball, conviction with that curveball. Had a better break that start against the Dodgers.
Padres using left-handed starting pitchers all 3 games here against the Mets. New York this year 9-16 in games started by left-handed pitchers.
Well, that bodes well for Eric Lauer. But I really believe he has to show that curveball in a good break, because he throws that fastball cutter so many times. You want to try to change eye levels even with different speeds of a pitch.
Rosario, the leadoff hitter, has worked to count fully. Manufactured a run last night with a bunt single and a stolen base, and he'll draw a lead walk here in the bottom of the first inning. So if you want to go back to last night and everything Joey Lucchesi did so well, one of those things was the fact that he didn't walk anybody in 5 1/3. Lauer walks the first guy he sees here in this ball game tonight. Second baseman is Drupal Cabrera, as mentioned on the trade block. Casey and Co. handled him very nicely last night. He was 0 for 5 with a couple of strikeouts in the first game of this series. This will be a little bit fun too, with Lauer and a young, fast guy in Rosario at first base. Eric, of course, with the 9 pickoffs to lead all of baseball, and Rosario 8 stolen bases to lead the Mets, but he's only 22 years old. First throw to first from Lauer. And I believe runway 13 is the active takeoff runway at LaGuardia. They're coming right over the top tonight. You ever think about that when you had to hit at Shea back in the day, the planes? You ever step out or anything like that?
Well, it comes into play, especially defensively. The communication in the outfield, that can pose some problems. When you're coming down to Shea and Queens, you know the airport's so close. It's happening. Kind of catches you off guard at times.
Yeah, they churn them out pretty good here. When the weather's good, at least. Comes home this time, and the 1-1 is hit down the right field line. Renfroe giving it a look-see, but it'll be into the seats and foul. The legend here is that the late, great Rusty Staub used to love to hit when the planes were going over, knowing that if he hit the ball to the outfield, the guys wouldn't be able to hear each other, wouldn't be able to communicate.
I don't think that was the reason for his success. I think he just flat out knew how to hit.
Mets honoring him with that patch on their right sleeves. Grand Orange, Rusty Staub. 2-2 to Cabrera. That one's going to Albuquerque. Here's the 2-2. Cabrera swings and misses, and Eric Lauer with his first strikeout of the night.
Well, exposing the right-handers, it's going to have to change the eye level. And there's the velocity, 92. Monitor that because he's going to be able to vary it as we touched in our open. Good location off the plate by Eric Lauer, getting the big strikeout.
Now Wilmer Flores will stand in, get his first look at Eric Lauer. Flores 1 for 3 with an RBI single and a walk in last night's game. 92 and a strike. Eric Lauer already with 9 pickoffs this year. The Padres' single season record is certainly in range. Rosario's been challenged this year by the Mets to take bigger leads, to be more aggressive. It's a tough night to do all of that. And now 1-2 on Flores.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jesse. And the reason why people are trying to encourage him to get a bigger lead in the minor leagues, there's so variables of stealing on a pitcher, stealing on a catcher that can't throw, so you can rack up bigger numbers. Rosario's got to make sure that he gets that extended lead because it's usually bang bang plays at this level.
On 1-2, Flores just gets a piece, sends it back to the screen. And we take a peek at the Padre defense behind Eric Lauer.
Well, we're featuring Eric Hosmer. Had an error last night, but he's been so good, especially the Gold Glover. From left to right, Will Myers. Manuel Margot in center. Hunter Renfroe in right. Villanueva, Galvis, Asuaje, and Hosmer. Hedges catches Eric Lauer.
Flores off the fists into left field for a base hit. Wilmer Flores, a 1-out single, Mets with a couple of base runners here in the bottom of the first inning. Now let's take a look at the keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Well, for the Padres to have big innings, I think it comes with the top of the order. Manuel Margot and also Carlos Asuaje. That combination, 0 for 1 already, both of them tonight. And bad apple against lefties, as you touched on. 9 and 16 against left-handed starters is this Mets hitters.
Those are really good keys.
Well, last night, locked it in.
Best of the year.
Hopefully I'm right again.
Here's Jose Bautista. Had a big error in the game last night. And,
that's a cross-up.
Yeah, I would say so.
And you know what? That might have got him off the wrist, too. Looked like he went down to block that, thinking that it was going to be an off-speed pitch. Remember, the first time Rosario has been on second base, a Mets player, so they have to go to multiple signs. Oh, that catches him right off the right leg.
Thigh might be the best case scenario there, although I'm sure it'll leave a pretty good mark for Austin. Lauer just 23 years old. Been much better after he got off to a little bit of a rocky start. In his first 7 starts, the ERA was 7.67. In the last 9, though, the ERA just over 3, and that includes that rough one against the Cubs going into the All-Star break.
I think the consistency's there. Looks like he has a certain calmness that shows confidence now. He had the calmness before, but I think he was just unaware of how much success he could have at the big league level.
Good breaking ball is strike 2 to Joey Bats. Last 5 on the road, particularly good for Eric Lauer. As you see, the ERA only 2.60, and probably a few more walks that he would like. You take the results. One-two to Bautista is inside. Well, it's the second game now we've seen Jose Bautista in a Met uniform. Still not used to it. We'll check in again tomorrow. Looks rather strange. He's another trade chip. That is strike 3. He doesn't like it, but that was a great pitch from Eric Lauer. Second strikeout here in the bottom of the first inning.
Looked like Joey Bats was looking for that curveball again. He ends up getting that fastball down and away. Perfect location, and again, with higher velocity. 93 on that pitch. That's the top that Lauer has shown early tonight.
You like it when the fastball is fast from Eric Lauer.
And you know what? It's not necessarily about velocity, but if you can change from 89 to 95, which he did in the Dodger start, that is a good variance of a fastball.
Now the only guy to have more than one hit in last night's game for the Mets, Michael Conforto, and a curveball for a strike, 0-1. That Dodgers start, Mark's talking about July 10th at Petco, 8 2/3 innings. Lauer came this close to shutting out the Dodgers before Max Muncy hit the home run. 115 pitches, 8 strikeouts. He was outstanding. And a well-placed fastball for strike 2 to Conforto.
Yeah, he's starting to dial in that command.
Like Luke Casey, Lauer doesn't really seem to be fazed by any of the outside stuff. Saw that right out of the chute in his big league debut at Denver. Here's the 0-2 and a little bit up. Lead walk to Rosario, 1 out single to Flores. Lauer trying to work around all of that. And that is a great diving play by Villanueva from his knees, not in time. Christian saves a run.
Yeah, very good plays, and you can see going to his right. We saw this up in Philadelphia. It takes him a little while to try to get that ball out. Conforto too fast getting down the line, and Eric Hosmer coming off the bag at the end of the play. Again, we see Villanueva and then Hosmer coming off the bag to keep it in front, giving Lauer an opportunity to get out of here without any runs.
That looked a little bit like the base hit that Conforto had yesterday against the shift. Kind of reaching out, poking it to the left side. This time somebody was there, but he couldn't make the play. Now Mesoraco goes after the first pitch fastball. And 0-1 to the Met catcher.
Mesoraco with 3 strikeouts last night. His last at bat, probably one of the crucial strikeouts of the game.
Former Red came over the Matt Harvey trade in early May. Batting here in a big spot early.
You watch Eric Lauer, 27 pitches already. That's what you always worry about with the command. Too many balls out of the strike zone. That's easy takes.
Mesoraco hits that one well down the left field line. It's going to be a fair ball. Rosario scores easily. Flores scores easily. Conforto being waved. Conforto will score easily. A bases clearing double for Mesoraco. And the Mets take a 3-0 lead here in the first.
Well, again, an elevated fastball, and that's what the Mets hitters are going to set their sights on. 91 miles an hour, the cutter. And he gets inside Mesoraco, but he keeps this one fair. Down the line goes, and Will Myers didn't have a lot on that throw. Didn't give an opportunity for Freddie Galvis to possibly throw out Conforto at home plate. You know, when there's a guy on first base, you got to get it out of your hands and get it to that infielder.
especially with 2 outs. And Conforto runs well, but still. Now Nimmo, 7th man to hit here in the 1st inning. Major League Baseball announced the Heart and Hustle Award winners for all 30 teams today. They'll give out one big award at the end of the season. Nimmo, the Met representative, or the winner. Jose Perella for the Padres. This guy's the hit by pitch specialist, took one last night, and already has the Mets single season hit by pitch record. Power behind him, 2-0. And there you go. After 30 pitches and 3 runs, pitching coach Darren Balsley going to go visit with his student.
And you know what? It's refinement for Eric Lauer, and we've seen it. You know, now he's set that bar so high when we saw the start against the Dodgers. But Andy Green understands he wants to see more consistency from both young left-handers. Joe Lucchesi was excellent last night, 5 1/3 innings.
Three balls in, no strikes to Nimmo. And another walk, 2nd of the inning. Robbie Erlin up early in the Padre bullpen. And now the San Diegan, Phillip Evans. 1 for 9 this year, played in 19 big league games last season. He's up from AAA today. 3rd separate stint of the year with the Mets on the big league roster. And a fastball for its strike, 0-1. Evans, 25 years old, 15th round pick, 2011. Here's the 1-1 to Evans, and he pops it up. On the right side of the infield, Eric Hosmer takes command of the situation and makes the catch to end the bottom of the 1st inning. Mets, though, get 3 against Lauer. back. Just a few years, though, for the Mets. It might feel like a lot longer than that. Game 5 of the 2015 World Series. That's Eric Hosmer with some outstanding aggressive base running. Coming home on the Salvador Perez ground ball to third base. Royals would go on to win their first World Series since 1985 that night, right here at Citi Field in New York.
Yeah, Salvador Perez, take that ball. That ball was a hot smash. But Eric Hosmer, tell you what, instinctual play that was huge for the Royals. Now he's in a Padre uniform. That didn't feel good for you, did it?
Nah, it's fine.
Are you over it?
Great memories for Eric Hosmer, certainly, as he comes to bat here at the top of the second inning against Zach Wheeler. Wheeler was injured that year, did not pitch for the Mets.
Well, Jesse, I mean, I got to say, you know, under the Padre uni that you got on right now, you grew up a Mets fan.
I did grow up a Mets fan. And, you know, when you start working, though, in this business, it becomes different. It does. And you get attached very quickly to the team you work for.
100%.
A couple good years sprinkled in there for sure.
Rich history in this Mets organization. My favorite was watching Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, all those guys. It just had so much character to that team. But when Dwight Gooden came up and threw those fastball and curveballs, it was magical to watch him work.
A couple unbelievable seasons his first 2 years in the big leagues. Hosmer scored on that wide throw by Lucas Duda. And he sends this one to left field for a base hit. Duda has since hooked on with Kansas City, and when they introduced him at a press conference, I think in spring training this year, he was sitting underneath a photograph of that play.
Yeah, that doesn't feel good for Lucas Duda, but you know, it's time to move forward. But this is good for Eric Hosmer. Watch how his lower half works. So good with 2 strikes going the other way. It's a good start for Eric Hosmer and the Padres.
Second consecutive night in which Hosmer has gotten a hit leading off the second inning. And now Hunter Renfroe, who we did not see in last night's game. Bob Scanlon reported via text message prior to the start of this one that Renfroe was launching bombs during batting practice today.
Well, strength's not the issue. It's really the consistency, and you see that first pitch slider. That's on that scouting report against Hunter Renfroe.
Off the handle, might have broken the bat, and Evans makes the catch, 1 away. Padres took game 1 of this series 3-2 last night. Scoring began with this guy, Freddie Galvis. Came to bat, scoreless game, 5th inning against Jacob deGrom. He handled that high heat, and he brought home the first run of the night. RBI single. Margot would follow with the RBI triple. And then the deciding run came home on a ball hit by Hosmer in the 6th inning that was missed by the shortstop Rosario. It was not the cleanest game of the year defensively for the Mets yesterday.
Well, the good thing for Freddie Galvis, had the 2 games in Philadelphia going back there with 3 hits apiece. That was a good start to the road trip for him. Offensively, he would like to get a little more consistency. So hard to match that defensive prowess that he has.
Wheeler started against the Padres in late April at Petco. He allowed 2 runs. They both came home on a 2-run single by Freddie Galvis. Mentioned the injury for Wheeler, Tommy John surgery. Missed all of 2015, all of 2016. Came back last year, started 17 games. And really seems to this year have refound himself. And, you know, looking like the guy I think everybody thought he would be when the Giants originally drafted him 6th overall.
Yeah, and you know what? When that trade was made, Carlos Beltran was a big piece for the Giants. And coming over here, there was a lot of expectations for Zach Wheeler. Now you're starting to see that consistency creep in.
So when you got Zach Wheeler, what exactly do you got? We talked about the fastball, but there's plenty more to go with it.
Yeah, and they know what the changeup, and it's only 8%, but it's more of a split finger. They'll call it a split change. It's been a difference maker, but I think Dave Island, the pitching coach, has been a very good influence on Zach Wheeler.
Longtime Yankee coach, former Padre. Galvis. Empty on the 97-mile-per-hour fastball.
And I think that's the influence right there. 97, but it's in off the plate. He's encouraging these pitchers to pitch in. We saw it in Jacob deGrom in 2 starts against the Padres. I think that's a prerequisite to make it uncomfortable. You got velocity, but you got to be able to pitch in. Some guys don't like that, velocity. They don't want to hit somebody. It's always in the back of their mind. They don't feel comfortable driving it in there. And that's to the benefit of the hitters.
Hosmer going on 3-2, and Galvis hammers it to deep right field. Bautista going back, and this time he makes the catch. And it is spectacular, and it'll be a double play. Last night, Jose Bautista dropped a routine one. Tonight, he goes way back and makes an outstanding play. Then the top of the 2nd inning.
Citi Field, Padres trail the Mets 3-0, and as Eric Lauer goes out for his 2nd inning of work, it'll be interesting to see if the young man can get himself back on track. Now remember, it's been 9 days since his last outing versus the Cubs, so it's no surprise that maybe the fastball command not where you want it to be. A little bit of a red flag with the leadoff walk, but all the hits he gave up were on fastballs to right-handers. He's having a tough time getting the ball in on the glove side. We'll see if he can settle down in this 2nd inning. Jesse Sweens, hopefully he can do it.
Yeah, Bob, 35 pitches to get through the first for Lauer. And, I think with these young pitchers, Scans, we always talk so much about, monitoring the workload and, not wanting to throw too many innings over the course of the season. In this first start back, though, from the break with the long layoff, especially with the shorter start going into the break, is there kind of a rest versus rust conversation to have?
You don't want to be considering 38 pitches after the first inning and the third. And Andy's going to keep that in mind. And he said, look, even the last outing versus the Cubs, it wasn't a pitch count issue so much. He just said, like, it was getting towards the break. There was no reason to push, Eric. Things just weren't going his way that day. I think what you really want is to see him get himself back on track. And then you've got to monitor the pitches, obviously, because it's about the long-term health of this young man. Key thing, get himself locked in, find that rhythm right now, and end this outing on a good note, no matter how deep he goes.
Looking for a bounce-back 2nd inning, and struck out Wheeler on 3 pitches, now ahead 0-2.
I think it's so interesting, and maybe Bob can touch on this. Yes, that you have to be careful with young arms, but you also want to push them a little bit, and there has to be a certain balance because you don't want to baby some of these pitchers. And I think Andy Green has that philosophy, the communication. And Bob, wanted to ask you that. Is there a balance between, you want this guy to extend himself? Everyone wanted him to finish that game when he had 8 2/3 against the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's a great question, Sweens, and it's the never-ending debate, right? And the question obviously is, when is it the right time to push a young pitcher? When is the right time to back off? And oftentimes these debates don't come up until, it's the 5th inning and it's a close game and they take him out and everyone raises their arms and say, wait a minute, the pitch count was only at 80 and this is a great opportunity to try to extend him a little bit more. But as a manager, you're not just measuring the number of pitches, you're not just managing the situation. What you're also looking at is the quality of stuff that's coming out of this young man's hand. Does he have enough left to actually get through this tough spot? Because if he doesn't, you're just setting him up for disappointment.
Cabrera in the air right field in a very brief bounce back second inning for Lauer, who puts the Mets down 1-2-3. By SeaWorld San Diego. Start of the 3rd inning at Citi Field in New York. Mets with a 3-0 lead on the Padres. Zach Wheeler back to work, and Christian Villanueva takes low, ball 1. You big board game guy, Mark Sweeney?
Not really. I played more when I was younger. They intimidate me.
Really?
Quite frankly, yeah.
What about them intimidates you?
Well, I mean, you know what I like is that those games that you act out certain things. I'm not
charades.
a board game guy. Yeah, I'm not really a board game guy.
You like the drawing one or the acting one?
I like the acting.
Broken bat grounder. And Evans throws out Villanueva, 1 away.
I've actually been acting my whole career, even including when I was hitting, but now especially.
Well, you're doing a fine job.
How about you? You like board games?
Nah, not really. Not really. As a kid.
You know what? It's kind of, it goes with this. I remember Sorry. Sorry was one of my favorites when I was younger. Now it's like Trivial Pursuit got me. That crushed me. And I mean, trivia is tough for me.
You don't like trivia?
I like trivia. It just intimidates me. I always get it wrong.
I'm going to pull up some Trivial Pursuit questions for you later. Sports, though, we'll give you a shot. I know Chiron Bob down in the truck here in New York. He's got trivia ready to go. Sure, we'll get to that. He's got good trivia.
It's unbelievable.
He can
Talking about intimidating.
Oh, that is intimidating. More so than any 97-mile-per-hour fastball.
I want to give a shout out to Chiron Bob's wife. She watches our broadcast all the time. And Chiron, we're taking care of him. He's taking care of us, believe it or not.
He does all the work. Edge is 0 for 2 with a walk and a stolen base last night. It was one of those with runners on the corners. You're trying to get hung up between first and second to let the run come home, and the Mets were like, just go.
Yeah.
They had no interest in throwing him out. So Austin picked up his first stolen base of the year. And now Should be 2-2, but it swings in his favor, 3-1. Wheeler's fastball here is a called strike. And the payoff pitch to Hedges sent straight back. So far, this game has really followed a very similar pattern as last night. Third inning. Pitchers face the minimum for the Mets. Hosmer with the only hit for Andy Green's team, and both nights are raced on a double play. The good news, of course, is that the Padres would win last night's game. His 3-2 is sent right back up the middle for a base hit.
Watch out.
That sounds like it could be a board game.
Probably is. Now 2-strike hitting by Austin Hedges. Return to sender. A little bit of cut on that 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Watch out. Absolutely love it with 2 strikes working the middle of the field.
104 miles per hour off the bat. So Hedges shooting some velocity the opposite direction on the diamond. And now Lauer in what is presumptively a bunt situation. Eric has sacrificed successfully 3 times this year. One of those 2 hits, a double.
Oh, watch out.
That would be the non-throwing hand.
You can see just trying to square, and this 2-seamer comes in right off that right hand. Grazed the bat a little bit. Ouch.
That is something to monitor over the course of the rest of this night. Gets it down this time, and it'll be the catcher Mesoraco making the play. Successful sacrifice. Well, nicely done after taking a fastball off the knuckles. All right, speaking of board games. Time now for our Valley View Casino trivia question.
Can
Here we
you
go.
feel me getting intimidated?
I can actually. You're sweating. Kirby Yates, one of 2 Hawaiian-born pitchers to have earned at least 1 save with the Padres. Name the other. Wow. See, this mixes geography and trivia.
You know what I would say?
I don't.
I would actually say Ron Darling, but I don't think he was in a Padre uniform.
No. But he's here, so I get what you're saying, because a lot of times the trivia question has to do with where we're at or what team the Padres are playing. 2 outs and a runner in scoring position after the bunt. Top of the order now, Manuel Margot.
And Will Simon checking out Eric Lauer. Paul Navarro. Always good to see Paul Navarro. He was part of the training staff for the All-Star game. His family's in town.
All-star Paul Navarro. They can never take that away from you.
Yeah, that's so good. A lot of home runs in that game, and he was shown a lot in the dugout.
Got a lot of FaceTime.
I said to Paulie, I said, Paulie, you made that dugout look really nice. Now, this training staff is excellent for the Padres. Such a good job.
Manuel flew out to deep center field, leading off the game against Wheeler. A little interleague action in Cleveland. That's a geographical rivalry. Speaking of geography.
How about Pittsburgh Pirates? 10 in a row. Also took down Corey Kluber last night.
It's not quite Steelers Browns, but you know. Pirates and the Tribe. Little roller. Margot might have a chance to beat this thing out. Yeah, Wheeler's not going to even have a play. Infield single, Manuel Margot.
Manny Margot opportunity to just continue this inning. A swinging bunt, perfect placement. Carlos Aswai has an opportunity to extend this inning.
So Hedges the runner at third base, and now Margot at first for Aswahe. Carlos is red hot. Flew out to the opposite field in his first at bat tonight. And Wheeler misses 1-0. With DeGrom on the mound last night, we saw the Padres, really play a lot of small ball, be aggressive on the base paths, trying to get what they could. Scenario changes a little bit down 3, though it is still early.
Well, still opportunities to run. Got to pick your spots. You have to be aware that what the situation is, especially when you're down 3, Jesse. I think the awareness is, what are my chances here? And you really have to favor a high percentage in a scenario like this. Austin Hedges at third base. That's not an element that you think is going to be a double steal.
Again, if the Mets don't want to throw down, it's just a free runner in scoring position for Aswahe.
Andy Green has really been aggressive in the second half, right after the All-Star break.
Now 2-2. Bender. Oh, off the front of the rim. Man. Full count, 3-2. That guy's got to wear a helmet, by the way. If you're going to have your back to the action, we don't need the hot dog guy going down.
Well, he did the right thing. He put his cooler up.
Margot will go on the 3-2 pitch to Aswahe.
Carlos Aswahe has had a heavy diet of that slider. It's been his best secondary pitch tonight.
Padres trying to get some back here in the third inning, and Aswahe draws the walk. The bases are loaded for Will Myers.
Now, to me, that's not a very good pitch for Wheeler. Reason why, you got a first and third, and now you have one of the hottest hitters up for the Padres. He can change the game in one swing.
Myers 1 for 5 this year with the bases loaded, brought home a couple of runs. You got Hedges at third, Margot at second, Aswahe at first. And Wheeler, who really flew through the first 2 innings, about to throw his 25th pitch here in the top of the third. Myers this season has already hit 9 home runs. That's in just 36 games. And he takes the cutter low, 1-0.
And he got him with the cutter in the first at bat. So that's in the back of the mind of Will Myers. I think Will looks out over the plate. Anything in, he's going to try to crowd him.
Got the call, 1-1.
That was a good take by Will Myers. That was off the plate. See him asking and telling him, and that was out. Plate umpire Manny Gonzalez.
Two balls and a strike. Mets had a big 2-out hit with the bases loaded in the bottom of the first inning. Now Will Myers trying to return the favor. And he hits it into left field for a base hit. That gets one home. Margot is being waved. Here comes Conforto's throw, and it is in time. The inning is over. They tag Aswahe out, and that could get interesting after further review at the plate. For the moment, there are 3 outs and 1 run in. But obviously we take a closer look at Margot's slide into Mesoraco.
Off the end of the bat for Will Myers, and you see Manuel Margot sliding in. Watch for that right foot at the top corner of the plate. And left foot comes out. Yeah, I think he's safe.
Yep. I don't think there's any question about it. And Andy Green has already called for the challenge. You know, there's a couple times now this week we've seen Padre players really make a concerted effort to keep that foot down when they slide into home plate. Renfroe the other day.
Now remember this, you can't block the plate even with your foot until you have the baseball. That right foot gets connected with Mesoraco, and then I think he gets his toe down.
Yeah,
it's a nice slide by Margot.
Yeah, it worked out really well for him. I would be surprised if he was not ruled safe. Plate umpire Manny Gonzalez made the call. Andy Green threw the challenge flag. He's safe.
Yeah, the interesting part is where they put Carlos Aswahe. This might take a little while, even if he is considered safe by the umpires.
Mesoraco is saying he'll go back to second base. Hosmer agreed. That's likely the call.
It is up to the umpires where they place the runner on this call into home. Remember, he was called out. Carlos Aswahe tried to get to third base.
You could read Andy's lips a moment ago. He's safe after he saw the replay on the big board. I don't think there's any question about that.
Well, it comes down to the slide, especially for Manuel Margot. We've touched so many times with a lot of guys that come in and that right foot goes elevated. He keeps that down even after the contact of Mesoraco. It's that toe in there.
That's a great look. And again, I just don't think there's any debate about it. Like, what are we waiting for here? Conforto at some point, if the inning continues, is going to have to go back to left field. He's hanging out with the infielders right now. Laz Diaz on the right is the acting crew chief.
Well, you think about the at bat from Will Myers too. The first at bat he got punched out easily, especially with that slider. Even off the end of the bat, that was a nice execution, looking out over the plate.
I believe there is a possibility they could call Aswahe out because he had already committed to go to third, and that would still end the inning, but the second run will have scored. There's a couple of different end results here. Let's see. You are safe. It's 3-2. You are still out. Yeah, I think that's fair and reasonable. And so the inning will end, but that second run will come in and score. Andy Green's going to want an explanation. Now a one-run game. with Laz Diaz, and I think he asked the crew chief to get on and talk to New York again. I believe Andy's argument here is that the umpires have misapplied the rule. Now, I do believe it's up to the umpire's discretion on a play like that to be able to call the runner out. And so obviously we'll keep an eye on Asuaje here. He's the trail runner coming from first base. Conforto's going to throw home. Margot is called out. On review, he's safe. Now at this point, Asuaje is already trying to go to third base, and he just sort of gives up on the play here, I guess because he saw Margot called out. Well, and I think that's the key thing, maybe.
It really is the key, and you wonder where he is. In my opinion, when it comes down to it, Laz Diaz is the crew chief, and they discussed it, and they have discretion to place the runner. But if that's the last out and you're called out, I think that the play that Andy's arguing is that he should go back to second base, and the run should be scored. They looked on the replay again and determined that Carlos Asuaje continued on to third base. I don't agree with it, and I think Andy has a pretty good gripe here.
To me, the interesting wrinkle is that it's the third out, because you're right. When Asuaje saw Margot called out at the plate, he kind of stopped because he figured the play was over and the inning was over. Anyway, it ends like that as a one-run game. Now, Andy Green does have the option, if he thinks they've misapplied a rule, to play the game under protest. I did not see any signal from Laz Diaz. Normally, they point up at the press box and make a P with their fingers, which is one of the funniest things in baseball. But I didn't see that happen, and I guess that's probably why they went back to the headsets just before this bottom of the third started, was they wanted to kind of check on the rule with the guys in New York.
Yeah, and I could see if Carlos Asuaje was on a full sprint to third base, it was almost a light jog.
A 4-pitch walk after all of that to Flores, and now already 3 free passes allowed by Eric Lauer here in what is now a one-run game.
Now look here, and you can see Manny Margot gets in there after he's called out at home plate. That should be the third out. Manny Gonzalez calls him out, sees Mesoraco, but Mesoraco's awareness of throwing down to third base ends up getting Carlos Asuaje out for the third out after the replay.
Here's Jose Bautista, who struck out looking back in the first inning. He's 0 for 1.
Well, why? I think Andy has a gripe, because it's first and second with Eric Hosmer up. Eric Hosmer line drive to left field in his first at bat. So it's going to be interesting to hear what the interpretation was on our post-game show.
Go back to 2010, Jose Bautista among the home run leaders in all of baseball. And in 2010, he had 54. I'm going to make my next comment very brief because I've said it 1,000 times the last few years, mostly on radio, but occasionally on television. I really do wish Major League Baseball and the umpires could come together and agree upon some sort of announcement system for plays like that. Where the umpires could tell the paying crowd here what actually happened. Margot does a nice job backtracking and finding that ball. Bautista out and one away here in the third. Yeah, you got 20, 30,000 people in the ballpark who paid to be here. All the folks, of course, watching on TV, listening on the radio in New York and San Diego, online in Tokyo, wherever. And everybody's a little bit in the dark as to what rule was applied there. And I do think a little bit more communication will go a long way.
You could say a lot in the dark. It happens in another major sport in the NFL where they make the announcement on the calls.
They do it in hockey. I found that out during spring training when I went to a hockey game this year. So one out and a runner on first for Conforto. He scored one of the 3 Met runs back in the first inning, and Devin Mesoraco with the big hit and then the big defensive play in the top half. like you said, credit to him. Whatever rule was or was not applied correctly on that replay with Asuaje, Mesoraco heads up to throw down there.
You know, Jesse, there's a lot of pride involved with the umpiring, and I quite frankly, I think they're aggravated at the replay system, and that comes into play. There's a lot of pride when you think of you know, being around these guys for years. There's a human element to this game, whether you favor that or you don't like it. I miss that part, and they're adding on to the game. I think when it comes down to replay, and in my opinion, it should be home run balls and plays at the plate just like that. Let's fix those. Let's not try to showcase every bit in every play. Slowing the game down.
1-run game, bottom of the 9th inning. Close play at first base. Umpire clearly gets it wrong. You okay with that one?
No, I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it because it's in that scenario, and you should have the ability. But the plays at second base with, you know, the neighborhood play, it drives me crazy.
That one is hit high to right field. Renfro going back, looking up. There it goes. That's a 2-run homer for Michael Conforto. And up comes the apple for the first time in this series. So with one swing of the bat, the Mets get those 2 runs right back.
Well, the walk to Flores really bites you here in this situation. Conforto had that hard smash to Christian Villanueva as the first at bat. And the comfort level comes in where he gets into that good count and deposits in that right center gap.
Lauer had the quick second inning after the long first. Now he's made a long third for himself as well. 1 away, and the base is empty with Mesoraco up. You know, it's funny, during that whole conversation at the top of the inning, you saw Mesoraco say to Hosmer, oh yeah, they'll put Asuaje back at second base. That's what he thought was going to happen. Laid off there, 2-2. Now the 3-2 to Mesoraco, and he fouls it back. Eric Lauer settling back in. Time for the Kia drive to success. You look at National League rookie pitchers this year. Tyler Mahle with 7 wins for Cincinnati. Lauer and Lucchesi among the others with 5.
A lot of them, excuse me, Jesse, a lot of those pitches for Eric Lauer are now at that same eye level, top of the strike zone.
Got him. Good curveball, and Mesoraco walks back to the dugout as Eric Lauer's 4th strikeout victim. 2 away here in the 3rd.
Talking about developing the 3rd pitch, it comes down to the curveball. See a good one right there.
Nimmo takes down the middle, 1-1. Mentioned hit by a pitch in last night's game. He leads baseball now with 16. He was Padres hit twice on Saturday night at Yankee Stadium. And we always talk about how certain guys have a knack for it. This does not happen very often. Back in June, hit by that curveball in Atlanta, and the home plate umpire, Stu Sherwater, said, "Not so fast, my friend," and he called it back. He said, "You cannot take first base." Mickey Callaway was upset. He's saying, "Hey, it's a curveball. It comes in here." He ends up getting ejected for the first time as the Met manager, and you so rarely see that call. You see that call, strike 3 on the outside corner. That's 5 strikeouts for Lauer, where the Mets get 2 back in the bottom of the 3rd. And a couple of very familiar faces to us. Time now for the Fan Diego fans of the game. That's Mark Gleason on the right. Works on our television crew back home. And his son, they have made the trip to New York, and they will continue on to Cooperstown coming up this weekend.
Yeah, I talked to Mark and his son earlier before the game, and he said he's going down Saturday. Both of them worked the Major League Baseball All-Star game.
Came in here, he went right to the high home camera. And he just got right to work.
Yeah, he loves sporting those unis too.
Eric Hosmer did not get the opportunity to bat last inning with a Suaje at second base, as we thought he might. After that odd play. And now 1-2 from Wheeler, another cutter. So what MLB has passed along about that call, and the relevant part, of course, is concerning Suaje trying to get to third base. The replay official ruled that the runner attempting to advance to third base was unaffected by the incorrect call. And I think that's the key part of that ruling, was he was going to third even without the out call. And now Mesoraco, who made that play, I think took one in the throat.
Ball went off the ground first and ricocheted off his glove underneath that mask of his.
Good to see him smiling. That's a scary one. There's a Rich Hill last year at Dodger Stadium trying to bunt against Clayton Richard. He took a pitch to the throat, and I mean, he went down in a heap. It's amazing, right? The catchers wear all this protective gear, all the padding. Earlier, Hedges takes one off the thigh. Now Mesoraco off the throat. Ball finds you. And right back to work. Hosmer single to left field leading off the second inning. Here he is leading off the fourth, and here he is grounding one to the right side as Drupal Cabrera throws him out. And one down for Zach Wheeler in the top of the fourth inning. When the Padres hit 2 home runs in a single game, tweet at Fox Sports SD using the hashtag #HIT2GET2 for your chance to win 4 new hand-cooked tires, brought to you by Evans Tire and Service Centers. Renfroe with the big swing and a miss, 1-1.
Yeah, long swing by Hunter Renfroe there. The cutter has been the best pitch for Wheeler, even though he has set it up with 97, 98 with that fastball.
Hard hit, but foul. And now 1-2. Talking about board games earlier, got a couple of recommendations. Stuff I have literally never heard of.
Okay.
On Twitter. I thought I knew the board games. I didn't realize they had, you got Monopoly.
Yeah, Monopoly is the one.
Sorry. Has anyone ever finished a Monopoly game? Has it ever come to a conclusion?
No, it doesn't. I don't have enough time for that.
Same with Risk. I remember, people would play Risk, and it was like, it would go on for days.
Remember younger days, Candyland was one of those.
Oh, Chutes and Ladders.
Chutes and Ladders.
I like those. Or my speed.
Yeah.
Renfroe strikes out. That's only the second of the night for Zach Wheeler, and he has had some of his biggest career strikeout games against the Padres. Freddie Galvis in his first at bat hit the ball really well towards the right field corner, and Jose Bautista ran it down. Ended up being a double play, and Hosmer running on the play. Not much he could do.
And he has to. He took off with the pitch, and he has to continue on. He's surprised that Bautista ends up making that nice catch and easily double him up at first. If he wasn't running on the play and he keeps on going on, and then you have a mistake made. But that wasn't a mistake, in my opinion, by Hosmer.
This time he's going to try left field, and Conforto has some trouble with it, but makes the play, and it's a 1-2-3 top half of inning number 4 for Zach Wheeler and the Mets. brought to you by Ram Trucks.
Yeah, and you think about Joey Lucchese last night, looked for some help and then had to go to his glove work in the accurate flip to get the third out. Hosmer absolutely loved it. What a play by Joey Lucchese, helping himself out.
Eric Lauer's had an up and down night through 3 innings so far. One could say he has both gone down the chutes and up the ladders.
Yeah, nice. I like that reference.
In the first 3 innings. Here's Evans, and the San Diego guy hits it right at Carlos Suaje, who makes a nice play. And speaking of nice glove work, how about this one last night?
Well, this is what you usually see from the shortstop position. Jose Iglesias in the 4th inning, 2 outs. Think he would take the easy out at first base? No, he wanted to show off a little bit, and known for that glove. Former Red Sox and now Detroit Lion. No, I don't think it's a lion. It's a tiger. Oh my.
Wheeler bats left, throws right, and takes a ball from Eric Lauer.
Well, football season is starting up soon. You know that. That's exciting. That's my favorite time of the year. Football starts, got the baseball playoffs, the matchups.
Basketball starts early now.
Yeah. Go Hawks.
Atlanta Hawks?
No.
Oh, I was going to say.
Sea Chickens. Seattle Seahawks.
Seattle, okay.
Russell Wilson.
Zach Wheeler grew up a Braves fan.
Who's your favorite football team? Dolphins?
Yeah, I used to work for the Dolphins, so very soft spot for them, certainly. They're not very popular up here. This is Jet country.
No, they are not. Dan Marino had a lot to do with that.
He used to crush these guys. Off the plate, and now 3-2.
Wasn't it the time when he called timeout, or he wanted to spike it?
Fake spike.
And it was a fake spike touchdown.
Wheeler reaches out, touches that one, and Myers was shallow. He makes the play, 2 away. All right, time to answer our Valley View Casino trivia question. This one was outstanding. I have no idea. Permeates, one of 2 Hawaiian-born pitchers to have earned a save with the Padres. Who was the other? Wow. If you're sitting at home and you got that one, I don't believe you.
That's impressive if you got that one.
You file that one away.
Nice one, Chiron.
Rosario, leadoff hitter with 2 outs and the base is empty.
That really intimidates me now. Now it starts spinning.
We need an easy one tomorrow afternoon, okay? That curveball is inside the line and headed towards the right field corner. Rosario is going to test Renfroe's arm. Now he's going to try for 3. The throw comes all the way into third base, not in time, a triple. Hunter, as you saw, had a little bit of trouble digging that one out of the corner. It was sort of pinballing around down there. And Rosario, with all kinds of speed, has his 6th triple of the season.
Now, really nice hitting. You see him staying inside this breaking ball, the high breaking ball. Rosario's starting to swing the bat, a hot bat. And Renfroe takes this into the corner and tries to take it in his own hands to throw all the way to third base.
They were talking about in the age of replay having to really play to the conclusion. That's what Villanueva did there. He kept that tag on. He went and tagged him just in case.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, Rosario came off the bag for that brief moment. He'll give you an out for that. Obviously he didn't, but that's what you got to do these days. Cabrera's 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a flyout. Here's pitch number 80 from Eric Lauer, and the curveball misses. Saw Rosario's speed to get him to third base. He's taking a pretty healthy lead down at third. Obviously, Lauer's got his back turned to him. Good curve there, and Hedges scares him back to third base. 2-2.
Yeah, and that'll get you closer to the bag, too, if you're a runner. See awareness of Austin Hedges.
You don't see the straight steal of home all that often. And on 2-2, Cabrera's going to bring him in. Nice piece of 2-out hitting by Asdrubal Cabrera. And the Mets now with a 6-2 lead here in the fourth.
Well, Jess, you mentioned it last night. This is a piece if you're a contending club going out there trying to acquire Cabrera, a switch hitter that knows how to handle the bat, clutch situations, and going the other way. Professional hitting by Cabrera.
Now Wilmer Flores, who has scored 2 of the 6 Met runs tonight. Singled and scored in the first, walked and scored in the third. Lauer got the first 2 guys to come to the plate here in the bottom of the fourth inning, but the Rosario triple and the Cabrera single have brought home another run and extended things. Saw Robbie Erlin throwing in the first inning, and now in the fourth, Robert Stock, the hard-throwing right-hander, is heating up in that bullpen. Flores pops it up shallow left. Freddie Galvis makes the play, and that's all for the Mets in the bottom of the fourth inning. The Pet Company by Hyundai. Get a great deal more than a great deal on all new Hyundai vehicles. See your Hyundai dealer today. And by SeaWorld. Penguin is tonight's word of the game. Head to foxsportssandiego.com and click Ways to Win for your chance to win a SeaWorld Family 4-pack. Top of the fifth inning, Christian Villanueva leading off against Zach Wheeler as the Padres trying to dig out of this 4-run deficit. San Diego's 2 runs came in the third inning. Will Myers a 2-run single and a bit of a controversial and much discussed play. Villanueva hits that one well to left, but Conforto is there, and there's 1 down. There were basically 4 outs in that inning, if you think about it. Margot called out for the 3rd out, and then Asuaje tagged out for the 4th out. On replay review, Margot called safe, but Asuaje still out. Laz Diaz checked with New York a couple of times to make sure that they got that one right. Andy Green, I got the sense he was not fully convinced of what he was told. Interesting to see what he has to say after this game. Tune into Padres Live, the post-game show. Mike Pomeranz, Steve Finley coming up after this one. Hedges takes a wide strike, 0-2.
Well, Jesse, the key for the Padres right now with a 4-run deficit, try to get Zach Wheeler out of the ballgame. Strength is not the Mets bullpen.
Eric Lauer making his first start since the All-Star break. Hedges busts his bat, and Evans can't make the play, picks it up, throws him out. That's a good job of not panicking, knowing you've got a catcher running. And now 2 outs in the 5th.
Yeah, has a wry smile on his face because he came in, took a bad hop on him. Costa Canyon graduate, you can see coming in and off the heel of the glove, stays with it and ends up getting Austin Hedges by a couple steps.
So 2 outs and the base is empty. Eric Lauer's night is done. You saw him on the bench. Franmil Reyes will pinch hit. First appearance of this series for the big man.
Well, Andy Green has been pleasantly surprised to the adjustments that Reyes has made coming back with the walks. But he also wants to see him handling velocity. Back-to-back fastballs and down 0-2 quickly.
Here's the 0-2, and he got him. Another fastball, and Reyes strikes out. That's a 1-2-3 5th inning for Wheeler. Andy Green didn't seem particularly convinced by the explanation he got on that play all the way back in the 3rd inning, and that's live. He and Laz Diaz were just talking about it again throughout the entire middle of this 5th inning. We've found out since the umpires told Andy he could not protest because it was a replay decision. which to me doesn't necessarily sound right. If Andy thinks the replay official has misapplied a rule, he should be able to protest it. But I guess they have specifically said you can't protest when the replay guys are involved across the river in New York City. Again, it'd be very interesting to see what Andy has to say after this.
Well, I like how Andy's asking for explanation too. Laz Diaz, the crew chief, has to explain that, because it's one of those rare plays you don't see a lot. And it did affect a certain part of this game that you could see could be in the balance.
Stock ahead of Bautista 1-2, and he bends his knees with that one. Strike 3 called. All right, so here's the play we keep talking about. Top of the third inning. Will Myers at the plate. When all is said and done, it's going to be a 2-run single. Conforto throws home. Margot is going to be called out to end the inning. On replay, he's ruled safe. But after this, Mesoraco throws down to third base, and Asuaje, in essence, becomes the fourth out. And after checking with the replay officials, Margot safe, Asuaje out. That ended the inning. And I think Andy's expectation was that Asuaje would be placed back on second base and the inning would continue for Eric Hosmer.
Yeah, because the way I looked at it too and how I interpreted it with watching the game is that when Margot was sliding into home plate, you could see Carlos Asuaje going back to second base. He's called out. So listen, I know Mesoraco made a nice play in throwing to third base.
Conforto, who homered his last time, sends this one to center. And Manuel makes the catch.
I think that's what Andy would like to discuss and find out why that was called the way it was.
The only communication we've gotten from MLB is that replay official rules that the runner attempting to advance to third base was unaffected by the incorrect call and was tagged by the fielder. And that's counter to what you're saying. You're saying he did change what he was doing after the call at the plate. Mesoraco goes after the first pitch, and he sends it out to center field. Margot is there, and Robert Stock with a nice quick bottom of the fifth, trying to keep the Padres in this game. By Cricket Wireless, one of the most wild Padre games of the last few years. Almost exactly 3 years to the day. In the rain against Familia. Justin Upton goes deep. If memory serves, there had already been a rain delay at this point, and then there would be another, and eventually the Padres would beat the Mets on an ugly, rainy July day here at Citi Field. I only bring that up because tomorrow these teams are supposed to play an afternoon game, and the forecast, Mark Sweeney, not good for baseball.
Not good.
Top of the order for the Padres against Zach Wheeler in the top of the sixth inning. Margot swings at the first pitch and pops it up. That is Wilmer Flores, and that is one out.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the San Diego Padres, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the account of descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
Zach Wheeler settling into a nice groove. The last hit he allowed was that Myers single that brought home the 2 runs in the 3rd inning. Since then, 7 in a row set down. And at an even 75 pitches as he gets ready to do battle with Carlos Asuaje. On 0-2, Asuaje takes high. On 1-2, Asuaje pops it up. That's Evans, the 3rd baseman, going back, and he's got it 2 away. Time for the top tier play, brought to you by Arco.
Well, pitch by pitch, and the previous at bat he got him with that cutter, so back-to-back cutters, that's off the plate. And Will Myers goes to work. 2-1 count off the end of the bat, but a nice plate appearance for Will Myers. Big play at the plate, scoring 2 runs, and that's where we sit. 6-2 Mets.
Somewhere in the Met dugout, Jacob deGrom probably thinking to himself, where were these 6 runs last night? Myers with very respectable numbers overall. Obviously, the injuries have been a big deal for him this year. A lot of time away, a couple of trips to the DL. There he is. He's trying to change the channel.
Pretty good pitching performance last night. Not backed very well by his defense to the Padres' benefit.
A little bit inside of Myers. Saw a crazy stat on deGrom. If he throws 200 innings, keeps the ERA below 2, and doesn't win 10 games, he'll be the first guy to have that happen to him since 1886.
Wow. Well, certain things you can't control. I mean, that's what it really comes down to it for Jacob deGrom.
Full count now to Myers. I should throw that trivia at Chiron Bob. Who was it in 1886? Henry Boyle of the St. Louis Maroons, if you're curious. That was not the modern era of baseball. He'd basically be the first guy ever. Myers hard hit, caught. Evans makes the play, and now 9 in a row set down by Zach Wheeler in New York.
MLB At Bat is your #1 app to watch live Padres baseball. Customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Get Padres home screen icons and features such as MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. And download MLB At Bat today.
Brandon Nimmo swinging and missing at a 98-mile-per-hour fastball from Robert Stock, who in his 6th major league appearance, working multiple innings for the first time. Set the Mets down 1-2-3 on 8 pitches in the 5th. And now a couple of quick strikes on Nimmo, 0-2.
And you've seen good breaking ball tonight by Robert Stock. You're going to get high velocity coming right at you, the former catcher.
Here's the 1-2 to Nimmo, and just a little bit outside from Stock, who made a very nice name for himself in spring training this year. He kind of came a little bit out of nowhere and had a great Cactus League. Really put himself in position to be part of the big league mix this year. He's a guy who pitched indie ball as recently as 2016. And on 2-2, he strikes out Nimmo. Now 4 straight set down by Stock with a couple of strikeouts. Speaking of exciting young talent, Fernando Tatis Jr. had his thumb surgery today. Posted this on his Instagram. Thank you, my family, friends, fans. I'll be back soon and better than ever. Hurt that thumb sliding head first. And all the reports are, as far as season-ending injuries go, could have been a lot worse. And nice to see Fernando smiling, wishing the best in his recovery.
Well, hopefully Fernando can make up for that lost time, maybe in winter ball, set up his craft and go into spring training healthy. Priority #1 for the Padre organization.
1-1 to Evans. Yeah, you're right. It'll be winter ball or fall league something, obviously, with him losing, these last couple of months of the minor league season. And once that thumb is ready to go, it should be an active winter, I would think.
Yeah, I think the fans need to understand too. It really comes down to at-bats and plate appearances. I think the Padre organization has a good grip of what they have in Fernando Tatis Jr.
Evans swings and misses, and another strikeout for Robert Stock.
We see the changeup, and we also see the slider. Very good slider. And that was what he had to work on, both the changeup and the slider down in AAA, and he has improved with that. Most hitters are going to cheat on that fastball, and if you have good secondary stuff, you can be effective.
Speaking of winter ball, Stock closed in Mexico last winter, and Wheeler sends this one out into the gap, and that's going to be extra bases for the Met pitcher. Wheeler is thinking 3, and now he wisely stops at second base with a 2-out double for Wheeler. 4th of his career, and Stock unable to get that clean getaway here in the bottom of the 6th.
Well, sitting on the fastball, and he gets it out over the plate, 96 miles an hour. Getting on top of some cheese. With that velocity, Manny Margot is over in that left center gap.
I think Wheeler going into second base had dreams of a 2-out triple, and then he remembered it was Hunter Renfroe picking up the baseball and realized probably not the best idea. He's in scoring position, though, for Rosario. He tripled. Now he's in his last at bat in the 4th inning. And a nice tight slider there for a strike. 0-1. Wild swing and a miss, 0-2. Mentioned he was pitching in Mexican League this winter. He was 9 out of 10 in save opportunities. Last year he was pitching in the Reds organization, single A, double A. And hooked on with the Padres as a minor league free agent last November. Here's the 0-2. Just a little bit off the plate.
I tell you what, you look at Robert Stock, and it's a good success story because he went from a catcher, now a pitcher, converted pitcher. It reminds me of a body type and the same mechanics as a Troy Percival. Successful closer in the Angels organization.
Good pull. Rosario just gets a piece.
You know, it's the body type, and listen, let's get it squared away here. It has a lot to do with the arm strength, the ability to throw the fastball, but I think Troy Percival had the ability to do that at first, but had a good curveball to go along with it. A very long career as a closer for the Angels.
Ground ball, shortstop. Galvis on a nice big hop, throws him out, and a couple of scoreless innings of relief for Robert Stock. Go to the 7th in the Big Apple, 6-2 Mets. Going in a hurry for the Mets offensively. Bases loaded, bottom of the first inning. That's the catcher Devin Mesoraco at the plate. That would bring home not one, not two, but three Met runners. Gave him an early lead. Will Myers in the play we've talked about all night long. Got two back for the Padres in the top of the third inning. Margot called out. He would be ruled safe on replay. And Aswahe tagged out here for what was then a fourth out, but ended up being the actual third out. Andy Green not pleased with the way that one played out, but it is what it is. And then Michael Conforto with a two-run homer in the bottom of the third inning, his 13th of the year. And the Mets with a 6-2 advantage as we now move into the 7th inning here tonight.
Now Zach Wheeler has really righted the ship after that call at home plate. The tag out of Carlos Aswahe. He's been doing it with that fastball slider combination tonight.
And he's still out there in his last start against the Nationals on July 14th. He went 7 2/3. That was his longest outing of the season and his longest in more than 4 years. Manchin coming back from Tommy John surgery. Eric Hosmer takes the breaking ball up and away. Talking about Robert Stock at the bottom of the last inning. He and Hosmer actually have known each other since they were kids. They faced off in a travel ball tournament when they were like 11 or 12 years old.
Wow.
Kevin Acee wrote about that during spring training in the Union Tribune, and Hosmer said, yeah, Robert Stock was like the big name everybody was talking about going into that tournament. You got to see this Robert Stock kid. And there was a game in the travel ball tournament when these two guys, Hosmer and Stock, were each the starting pitchers head to head against one another's teams. And now all these years later, wearing Padre uniforms. Stock got the win, by the way. He also homered in the game. Not that they remember that. Of course they do. 2-2 from Wheeler. And foul at first base. Padres return home after tomorrow afternoon's game here in New York. Take on the Diamondbacks and the Giants before hitting the road again. Hope to see you out at Petco Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever works for you. Andy Green will be there. Hosmer the other way. Conforto was playing that way. He will not get there, and it's a foul ball. Another payoff to Hosmer and another foul ball. Speaking of the weekend coming up on the 28th in celebration of Trevor Hoffman, the day before he is inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. That Saturday, all fans in attendance will receive a number 51 retirement commemorative bobblehead presented by State Farm. Tickets for the 5:40 game against Arizona are at Padres.com. Back to 5:40 on Saturday night. That's always important to remind people and ourselves after the last few Saturday night
We
home
do.
games.
We need those reminders.
It was 7:10 the last couple times. Now back to 5:40.
It's usually somebody on our crew saying, hey, remember, 5:40 game tomorrow.
And there is always somebody who goes, oh, I'm glad you said something. 10th pitch of the at-bat into left field, and Conforto makes the catch. Now 10 in a row. Retired by Wheeler as he approaches 100 pitches here in the 7th.
Well, to say the least, we are creatures of habit. That's the reason why everyone in baseball is surprised when you get those different times.
I like the 5:40 though. It's a nice time of day. Get home a little bit earlier. Goes after the first pitch, and Renfroe pops it up. That's Flores calling for it, and on the front of the mound he makes the catch. 2 away. A lot of pop-ups tonight off of Padre bats. Last inning, Margot and Asuaje both popped up. Renfroe's second time tonight doing so. That tell you anything about what the pitcher's doing out there?
Just overswinging against a velocity fastball. 3 straight games that the Padres have faced high velocity pitchers. Vince Velasquez for the Phillies, Jacob deGrom last night, and Zach Wheeler.
Freddie Galvis hit the ball really well his first time up. Bautista made the nice catch. And he rolls over on that one. 12 in a row. Retired by Zach Wheeler, and the Met righty is cruising. he's going to ask him for a little bit more here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Padres trailing the Mets 6-2 as New York looks to even the series. Padres took game 1 last night 3-2 as Joey Lucchesi defeated Jacob deGrom. Switch hitter has Drupal Cabrera leading off against the hard throwing Stock, who greets him with a 97-mile-per-hour fastball, 0-1.
25 pitches for Stock to this point and 19 strikes.
That'll do. Mentioned a couple of times in this series, Cabrera's name out there in trade talks. Zach Britton as well, and the Oriole closer reportedly heading to New York and not the Mets. Sounds like the Yankees are close to acquiring him and adding on to that bullpen. So the Mets trade their closer, the Yankees adding a big time back end arm, and the Mets probably not done dealing, whether it's Cabrera or somebody else. And we talked about it earlier. Zach Wheeler's name has been out there. And if you're the Mets, you got to be very, very happy with the way this game has gone so far if you are going to try and trade Zach Wheeler.
Well, if you're the scouts in the stands, you're very pleased of what you're seeing. You wonder what that return is for a Zach Wheeler. I think the Mets are going to be asking for a lot. Not necessarily the amount that you would get for a Jacob deGrom or maybe a Noah Syndergaard, but Syndergaard's on the disabled list.
Cabrera waves and misses hit that one. 4 strikeouts for Robert Stock.
Now, the secondary stuff has been very sharp tonight. Probably the best we have seen from Robert Stock.
Most pitches he had thrown in a game so far this year, the big league level, was 23. And obviously well above that now in his 3rd inning of work. He has been outstanding. Allowed the 2-out double to Wheeler last inning, but that's been it. He's the only man to reach. And now Flores skies one. Freddie Galvis makes the play, and now 2 down for Stock in the 7th. Bautista 0 for 3, 1 for 7 in the series. And Stock still firing it in there at 98 miles per hour. Take a look at StatCast, powered by AWS. He's a pull hitter.
.20 slider. Shows you the confidence he has, especially tonight.
Swings and misses there, and now Stock as the 6-time All-Star, 2-2.
He's got Bautista guessing, waving at that 98. Cheese down and away.
Payoff pitch to Bautista, and Robert Stock strikes him out. 5 strikeouts for the hard-throwing right-hander in 3 shutout innings of relief. Gentlemen, thank you very much. It is Flushing Meadows. Yes. It's very peaceful sounding. Flushing Meadows. Seth Lugo, the new Met pitcher. And Christian Villanueva takes outside 1-0. Matt Dendecker into play center field. That moves Nimmo over to right. Bautista is out of this game after making the final out. That's a double switch. And on 1-0, Villanueva skies one to deep left center field. Dendecker tested immediately against this swirling wind. Gets there and makes the catch.
Well, for Seth Lugo, you can see 33rd game, 5 start. Last year he had a lot of starts, and Seth Lugo now is thrown into the bullpen and in high leverage situations predominantly. Has a very good curveball and slider to go along with the fastball.
Both these teams with bullpens in flux after the trades of each of their closers. Here's Austin Hedges. Phil Hughes getting ready to go. How about Robert Stock? 3 shutout innings.
Incredible. And why I say incredible, because that secondary stuff, especially the slider, was very good tonight. He struck out Jose Bautista twice.
Joey not so bats. Good fastball. 2-1 on the Padre catcher. Austin 1 for 2 with a single and a ground out. He came in and scored on that 2-run single by Myers in the 3rd inning. He scored the non-controversial run. That's the only run scoring for the Padres tonight. Zach Wheeler finished this game, retiring the last 12 men to come to the plate. Mark mentioned Lugo had done some starting for the Mets earlier this year. They moved him back to the bullpen in late June. And since then, he has really been one of the better relief arms in the National League. Rosario makes the play, 2 away. So he mentioned a big weekend at Petco Park, and a big part of that, the countdown to Cooperstown. Trevor Hoffman will be inducted on Sunday here in New York, and on Fox Sports San Diego, moments recapping Trevor's life and his career. Mark, you'll be there reporting live from Cooperstown all weekend long, and then on the 29th, the themed broadcast, including an exclusive interview with Trevor himself.
Should be a magical weekend for Trevor Hoffman and the organization for the Padres. A lot of former teammates making the trek to Cooperstown.
I remember during the 1998 anniversary weekend earlier this year, one of the things we heard a lot about from Trevor, from you, from everybody else who was around, the different group text message threads. I imagine those have been red hot this week.
It continues, and you're right, Jesse, and the excitement from all of his teammates, and just due, in our opinion. Even heard it debated today on a baseball show about the just Trevor going in as a closer, and it's looked upon as a very troubling position to let into the Hall of Fame. I think it's a no-brainer.
Morella pinch hitting, swinging and missing 1-1. As far as I'm concerned, it's troubling only for people who don't understand how the game of baseball has evolved.
Well, you know what, Jesse, the longevity of a closer is very short-lived. He did it for 15 years.
Morella reaches out, sends that one into left field. And now 15 Padres have been retired in a row. Padres baseball brought to you by Honda. Great deals are waiting for you now at your local Honda dealer. By Sequan Casino, opening in 2019, Sequan's brand new 300-room resort and hotel. And by your SoCal Mazda dealers. 6-2 Mets in the bottom of the 8th inning as Phil Hughes comes on to pitch. Eric Lauer started, went 4. Robert Stock 3 shutout innings of relief. And now the former Twin and Yankee back pitching in the Big Apple. Conforto with a big 2-run homer in the 3rd inning. That's the only home run of this series so far for either team. Now 3 balls at his strike. Middle game of this 3-game series. Day baseball tomorrow. Morning baseball back in San Diego. 9:05 a.m. first pitch. And fittingly, I guess, San Diegan on the mound for the Mets. Into the shift, and how about Christian Villanueva? Nicely done. 1 away in the 8th.
Well, the glove work of Christian Villanueva to his left. Rotates on his knees and an accurate flip over to Eric Hosmer for the big out.
Big night tonight for Devin Mesoraco. Playing Richard tomorrow against the San Diegan Corey Oswald. Couple of quick workers. Check swing foul ball. We saw Hughes over the weekend in Philadelphia. Worked that 8th inning in game 2 of the doubleheader. Struck out the last 3 guys that he faced after loading the bases with nobody out. A lot of fastballs, as I recall. This one a breaking pitch hit into right field. Routine for Renfroe. And 2 away. Time now for the Bill Howe plays of the game. Mentioned Mesoraco has had a big imprint on this one. Bases loaded double back in the 1st inning. Cleared the bases, gave the Mets the early 3-0 lead. And then the play we've talked about. Heads up throw down to 3rd base to end the inning. And who knows, that could have stunted what may have turned out to be a bigger rally for the Padres. Eric Hosmer didn't get the opportunity to bat with a Suaje on base. And Mesoraco heads up.
Very intelligent play. Also, Zach Wheeler after that was brilliant.
That would certainly be the other part of it as Nimmo dumps this one into center field for a base hit. 2-out single for the Met right fielder. It will not be a 1-2-3-8 for Hughes. This is going to be pinch hitter Jeff McNeil in his major league debut. as you can see, he has raked in the minors this year. Long Beach State guy. Swings of the first pitch, lines into center field, and Margot can't get there. A base hit. Very first pitch that Jeff McNeil sees in the big leagues is a base hit.
Well, congratulations, young man. Don't wait around. Shoot after that first pitch, and you can see the ball exits, and he'll put that on his shelf. Won't forget this moment.
Why wait around, huh? Dan Decker batting for the first time, came in as part of that double switch in the top of the 8th inning. Eight strikeouts in those 17 at bats. Respectable numbers at AAA this year. That's where he's been most of the season, in Las Vegas. Padres AAA affiliate, the El Paso Chihuahuas, see plenty of those Mets AAA guys. Two on, two out. Now the 0-2 and a foul ball. Let's revisit our keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Well, top two in the order. We needed to spark that offense. Only 1 for 5 with a walk. Manny Margot scoring that second run, and Bad Apple. Mets have been struggling against left-handed pitching. Not tonight.
Here.
Bad grade tonight. Bad. Very bad.
Well, you, like the Padres, will have an opportunity to bounce back tomorrow.
I can't wait.
It's the beauty of baseball, right? You get right back on the horse.
Every day.
Another 0-2 to Den Decker, and on the outside corner, strike 3 called. Phil Hughes works a scoreless 8th. Padres with their last chance in New York. Mets starter Zach Wheeler, 7 innings, 2 runs, 4 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, and he set down the last 12 Padres to come to the plate. Fastball was electric all night long. Secondary stuff good. A lot of soft contact. And McNeil picked up his first major league hit in his first major league at bat in the bottom of the inning. Now gets to stay in and play third base. They've been waiting for this guy to get here. You heard the ovation he got because he's been tearing it up in the minors this year, both at AA and AAA. And the Mets are a little bit reluctant. Had to do some roster maneuvering to get him here, but he has arrived. Top of the order for the Padres in the 9th inning. Lugo out there after working a 1-2-3/8 is in front of Manuel Margot, 0-2. Reached out and into center field for a base hit. So a leadoff single here in the 9th inning for the Padres. And after that bottom of the 8th inning, McNeil goes to the dugout following his first major league hit. Try not to smile.
I can't even wipe the smile off his face, and I think everyone appreciates what he has gone through. Not a top prospect in the Mets organization, but he's hit his way to this opportunity. I love those stories.
Yeah, I was reading one article earlier today. It said he wasn't on any prospect list, but he just went down there and took care of business.
Well, you credit the Mets organization for giving him that opportunity as well. Reason why I say that, sometimes you get stuck in these top prospects and guys surprise you going under the radar. He's continued to be consistent at the AAA level, maybe even the AA level at times. And give him that opportunity. Comes up, sees the first pitch, and lines it to center.
They really did force the issue as Suaje grounds this one to Flores. He'll take the shore out. One away in the 9th. Nicely done by the first baseman. McNeil hit in each of his last 7 games at AAA. He was 12 for his last 28 playing in the PCL. So if you're going to move up like that, you're going to have to do some special things with the bat, and he did. Will Myers has driven in the only 2 Padre runs of the night. A couple of doubles in last night's game for Will. Good curve, 1-1. Hard hit and into the gap in left center field. That'll get Margot home. Another RBI for Myers and another extra base hit for Will. A couple of doubles in yesterday's game and now a stand-up RBI double here in the 9th tonight.
That consistency's there after that really good curveball the previous pitch. He still stays on that fastball. The mistake by Lugo is drilled into left center field.
Now a 3-run game. Runner in scoring position for Eric Hosmer, and this thing could get interesting in a hurry. Renfroe on deck. Galvis after that, and no action whatsoever in the Met bullpen. Here's the 1-1 to Hosmer, and he gets the call, 1-2. Been a wide strike zone most of the night, both sides. Myers an RBI double is at second base. Will has brought home all 3 Padre runs tonight. You surprised the Mets don't have anybody up?
Well, you know, it looks like Gesellman and Lugo are going to get those opportunities, but he has extended both of those guys. I think that's the usage that they had earlier in the season. Gesellman looks like he's starting to get loose.
Two and two on Hosmer. Gesellman worked a very quick top of the 9th inning in yesterday's game. Mets did not play on Sunday because of the rain in the Bronx. Got him. 2 away in the top of the 9th.
Now going with a shorter breaking ball. And an awkward swing by Hosmer.
So the Padres down to their final out, and Hunter Renfroe at the plate. And now 0-2. Renfroe tried to check and did.
Whoa. He caught a break there.
22,000 on their feet. The 1-2 pitch just got a piece. And Mesoraco took another.
He's taking a beating tonight. Watch the foul ball ricochet off the dirt.
Took one off the throat earlier tonight. The pitch to Renfroe is outside and low, 2-2. Curveball popped up. Third time tonight. Renfroe skies one on the infield, and it's McNeil making the catch to seal the deal. Mets take game 2 of this series 6-3. Rubber match coming up tomorrow morning, 9:05 Pacific. Padres Live coming up next. Plenty to talk about. Hear what Andy Green had to say and other things, Mike Pomerantz.